All right, and so I'm not really into the big introductions. I just like to tell people how I met them. So Daniel and I actually met through the DMs. We have a lot of mutual friends, and it was just great to kind of meet him, see what he's doing with community. We both have a lot of experience working with communities and youth, so we really connected on that. And when I thought about who I'd like to open up the event and kind of think about community, of course, I thought of him, and we decided to collaborate on this. So without further ado, I will let you take it away.
Sounds good. So I'm Daniel, as she said. I'm super pumped to be part of here. I don't have too much time, so I'm going to whiz through this presentation. The first thing I wanted to start with was a quote here, which says that you could change your life overnight if you simply abandon the notion that other people's opinions matter. So I'm gonna start with that because I know a lot of people here are, change makers, people that want to make a difference and impact. And to do that, you can't worry too much about other people's opinions. So wanted to start there. I'm wearing this Matcha Man shirt, which was provided. Obviously, matcha is a huge thing. I'm constantly drinking that. I consider clearly this shirt is part of matcha is part of my personal brand, and that is something that's going to be touched on in today's conference. I also have a bubble tea pin. You can't really see it. Sorry, I'm reversed. Bubble tea pin. It's super small, but again, these are things that have become part of my personal brand, and I want to drive that home. That personal brands are formed by what you do, but also how people choose to identify you. So the first thing I want to talk about is where do you actually start? To actually be authentic or to know what community to even be part of, you have to know why. Why are you doing this? Why? Why anything? So determine your mission, your vision, and your values. That goes for your personal and your professional. There's a lot of exercises you can go through to determine that, but honestly, I did it about 14 years ago for my nonprofit. I did it several years ago for the business, and that makes a huge difference. The next thing is to start with your why. As I mentioned, if you haven't heard this epic Start With Why TED Talk by Simon Sinek, please search it up, Start With Why. But the whole point of that is you just keep asking why, answering the question, asking why again, and that really boils down to what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. So for anything to be successful for the long haul, you really need to build a community. And this is a process that takes time. There's going to be talks about community today as well. Now, for me, an ideal community is going to be organic. It's not going to be super strategic. So although I'm giving you some tips and strategies, it really is important for a community to form organically. A community is built off of common interests and values. One thing that's huge is to be inclusive. If you want to be successful with your community, you have to actually, you might think you're open to everyone, but you have to be sometimes be proactive and go out of your way to ensure inclusivity. Very, very, very important. The next thing is to find ways how to connect. So for my agency, we ended up creating a meetup group called Now Common, and that was set up for knowledge sharing from our community. And it turns out that our community ended up learning from one another, and we had various people come from all different industries. Even though we're a marketing and branding agency, we had this community forming and had all kinds of topics. So that's one thing. The second thing, example I want to give is through the youth-led nonprofit I have called Access. We actually organically formed a community from people that came to pitch for our Bright Ideas pitch competition. These youth groups found that commonality in each other and actually started collaborating. And now we're going to have these group support calls with all different youth-led organizations. So this is huge. It can help you go super far because guess what? They're sharing with each other. The next thing, to actually be authentic. So you want to genuinely engage. Thank people super often, more than you think you need to online. What is your voice? Don't be afraid to actually use your voice. If you are someone who swears, like Gary Vee, for example, he's not afraid, but he knows he's not for everyone. That's great. Other tip is to show the behind the scenes on your social media. Provide actual value like events, blog posts, Q&A, Instagram lives. Be vulnerable. TikTok is an amazing platform like this. I try random things on TikTok. We're not afraid to experiment as well as an agency there too. The next thing, going live on Instagram, it's real and raw. That's uncut by default, right? So that's something totally recommend. A lot of people in here are, as part of the speakers, are always on Instagram Live. Don't constantly pivot and adjust based on trends. I think it's easy to do that. You see something cool and trendy, you might jump to it, but staying consistent is key. Avoid jumping on the bandwagon because you have to have your own thing that you're good at and that people know you for. Choose what you stand for and don't go back on those values. So obviously, how do you respond to events and holidays like Earth Day? Do you align with it or do you not? What do you say about it? Don't just post for the sake of posting, right? Amazing thing that I saw today was Nike and Adidas, who are rival companies. They chose values over profit today or yesterday, and they posted an ad about the Black Lives Matter movement that they reposted each other's ads. So that's incredible. That's where you're choosing values over profit. Make commitments versus claims. This is great. Obviously, people will call you out, but actions speak much louder than words. So that's that. I wanted to share something I came up with, which is called the 3 R's. When deciding, how do you know what to actually share or post? So real, relatable, and repeatable. Those are the 3 things. So if it's real, it's honest, truthful, it's not fake news, that's obvious. If it's relatable, can your audience actually connect with it? And if it's repeatable, reasonably, can you actually continue to provide enough of this type of content, or is it, one-off or a rare occurrence? I'm going to leave you with an authenticity test. Ask yourself, would you be doing this if money wasn't a factor or a need? And the second thing is, would I be doing this if no one else was watching? So think about that before you actually commit to your personal brand or your business brand. Answer those 2 questions and everything should fall in line. When it comes to a personal brand, this is talked about a lot. How do people describe you or your business when you're not in the room? That's what your personal brand is. So try to audit your presence, audit what people say about you, and get that feedback so you can pivot. Last thing I want to leave you with is how to decide on opportunities. So again, it's okay, and sometimes it's a good thing to say no. Making those decisions is actually how you stay authentic. If you said yes to everything, it wouldn't be you making those decisions. You'd just be, a puppet for everyone else. So choose your metrics, refer back to the start with why example I mentioned earlier, and ask yourself if it's aligned with your values. I was going to touch on influencers today because they're actually being forced to be more authentic because of the pandemic. They have to actually, the real authentic ones are thriving right now. The ones that are giving back, the ones that are promoting causes and positive messages. This is a good thing. But in summary, you need to provide real value to your audience to stay relevant. So I will leave you with a quote because I believe I'm out of time right now. But the quote is that some people spend their lives being a character in their own story. Others spend their lives writing their own story, which is your choice. So obviously, if you look at some of the things I started out with in my presentation today, set up your mission, vision, and values, your start with why, you should be able to actually live with that purpose. And don't just be a character in your own story, but actually write the story. There you go.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Daniel. That was awesome. I can see the chat is